So today we will start the load flow studies. Now till now we have seen that the formation of the network equations YV, okay, where I and V vectors are nodal currents and voltages, and Y is the nodal admittance matrix. If I write down the ith element of the I vector, I will be multiplying the ith row with this vector. Is it right? So ith row of Y matrix is Y I1 V1 plus Y I2 V2 so on up to YIN Vn. Now I briefly write down this as summation Y ij, where j is running from 1 to n, and this is Vj. So the one expression, one equation, this is short form representation of all the equations in matrix form, but I write down one equation. Now this I is running from for all buses. I belongs to all, or otherwise I write I belongs to 1 to n buses. Okay, so now what I can say is this equation, this matrix representation is actually looking after the current balance at each current balance at each bus. Okay, now this is the specified term II. I said this is the injection vector, this is injection vector, net injection vector, which is actually specified quantities, right? So this is specified quantity. So what I am looking is the specified quantity. I am actually trying to calculate the corresponding injection values for a given voltage. See, if suppose V vector suppose one particular V vector V star is having that this summation is equals to this Vi, and also for I belongs to 1 to n. That means this particular vector of V, which actually makes these injections, specified injections, equals to the calculated injections. This is calculated injections. Then this particular of V is the solution. Are you followed? What I am actually looking after? I am looking after the current injection balance at each bus. At each bus, I am trying to see the specified injection of current into the bus is equal to or not from the calculated injections. This is the calculated injections. Okay. Now I am searching for this vector. What is this vector which is actually making this is equals to this one at all buses, and if I find out one particular vector V which actually makes all II's equals to these expressions for I equals to 1 to n, then that particular voltage is my actual solution, network solution. Okay, right. But see, I have said the network solution can be found through different various methods given a injection vector I. But in practice, injection vector, current injection vector measurement is very difficult. This is very difficult to measure because it actually has the current magnitude as well as the angles. Now these angles are actually with respect to some reference. So for all buses, measuring of these angles with respect to some reference in prior to find out the solution of the network, it is very difficult. So we cannot actually determine this delta, though I can measure the currents, but delta is very difficult. So that is why we don't have the measurements of this injection vector in terms of currents, but we can have the injections not in currents but powers, power injection, active power and reactive power injection I can measure. So what we do is, as a power system engineers, instead of representing the injections in terms of currents, I try to now represent the injections P and Q, net injections, to the buses as active power and reactive powers. Okay, how I can do that? How I can do that? How I can do that? So this is the complex power injected into this bus is equals to the voltage. If suppose this is the ith bus, then SI is equals to VI phasor multiplied by I conjugate. This is phasor, all are phasors, right? Now what is this II? What is this II actually? This is the calculated part of injection, this equation. That is, I can write down this VI phasor multiplied by the summation J is equals to 1 to N Yij Vj conjugate. Now I can write down this SI is equals to this Pi plus JQi, right? So the real part of this one is equals to Pi and imaginary part of this one is equals to Qi. Okay, so what I can do is, instead of checking for the balance, the specified quantity and the calculated quantity in terms of currents, now I try to check the power balance, not current balance but power balance, that is real power balance and reactive power balance at each node. That means I have two equations at each node which I have to check. Okay, now if you notice, okay, let us come about these power balance equations later, but I want to say that because I cannot measure the current vectors, I am representing current in terms of power, right? So power can be measured, but if I want to check the power balance equation at the each node, then this equation becomes a nonlinear equation because you have the product of voltage and voltage. Okay, so these power balance equations are nonlinear in nature, whereas these equations I equals to YV, these are simply linear algebraic equations. That is why we have used a simple technique, LU decomposition or successive elimination method, or simply Y inverse into I gives me voltage V, right? That is how we can solve here. But here when it becomes non-linear, then I have to adopt a iterative method. iterative methods to solve these equations. Now that is the basic background about these load flows, how these load flow techniques have evolved. So right, the Gauss-Seidel, okay, Gauss-Seidel, Newton-Raphson method, fast decoupled load flow, fast decoupled load flow, right? And also the DC load flow. You don't have the in your syllabus, but you also have one more DC load flow. So these are all methods are based on these iterative methods, except DC load flow. Okay, so this is how the evolution of the load flows have begun. Now before I go into the actual methods, each method, let us also discuss about the basics of the network buses. Now I have my network which is having many number of buses, and few generators are connected to them, and there are loads connected to them, right? So this network, if suppose it is having n number of buses altogether, right? I number 1, 2, so on up to n buses. Okay, now I can classify these n buses into 3 types, or mainly 2 types. One is generator buses and load buses and generator buses. Okay, now generator buses is the bus at which the generator is connected. Definitely a generator is connected to that bus. And the load bus is where only loads are connected. But there may be a bus where both generator as well as loads are connected. Even then I call them as generator bus. That is why I said generator bus means a bus, definitely a generator is connected, but load may or may not be connected. Now this is the two categories of the buses, where total number of buses can be divided into generator buses and load buses. Now to conduct the load flow studies using the iterative methods, then I need to specify one bus as a reference bus. Or normally also called as slack bus, reference bus, slack bus, right? Now the first choice would be actually the generator buses having larger size of generator, right? So slack bus is normally chosen among generator buses which is having the larger capacity generator to that bus. That is the normal what do you say, tradition. Okay. Now how many buses are there now? Mainly two groups, but among generator buses, I take one as slack bus and remaining all other are generator buses. Okay. Now this is about just a brief classification of the buses. Now coming to the bus variables, now at each bus, as I said, instead of current injections, now I specify P and Q injections into the bus. So these are the two variables or two quantities or parameters, bus parameters, bus parameters, right? P and Q, and other one is the voltage. Voltage, it can be either complex voltage or voltage it can be having magnitude and angle, or voltage it may be having real and imaginary. All are of all are actually pointing out the bus voltage, right? So there are methods, right? Gauss-Seidel method, Newton-Raphson method, decoupled method, fast decoupled method, and all that. Now they may be adopting different types of variables, and based on these adoption of these variables, we will be having our own problem formulation and the solution methodology, right? Now you will be coming to know when we actually take up these load flow methods. Now what I want to say is each bus is associated with these parameters, that is power, active power, reactive power, voltage and angle, voltage magnitude and voltage angle, let us say. Okay. Now in these parameters, as I said, if I go on specify this P and Q at all generator buses and load buses, if I go on specify P and Q at all generator buses and load buses like this. Okay. Now what is that means? Only I need to find out the bus other parameter, that is voltage magnitude or angle, or simply the complex voltage or the real or reactive part of the voltage. Okay, I left with only voltages to be determined, right? But actually if we specify the power P and Q at generator buses, then we don't have control of this bus voltage, generator bus voltage. Now we don't have control of this generator bus voltage. Normally generator bus voltages are controlled. Controlled means, what do you mean by this controlled? Controlled bus is something like the generator is connected to this bus, and this bus voltage is actually controlled by this generator by means of its excitation. That means at a generator bus, instead of specifying P and Q, what we specify is P and V. Okay, so what we specify at generator bus, we specify P and V. V is specified. This bus, generator bus voltage should be this much. That's it. Right? But I will be given the excitation control, that is the excitation can be varied between this Q minimum and this Q maximum. It can actually vary. The pumping of this Q into the network can be varied between this Q minimum and Q maximum, but it should in this range only. It has to control my generator bus to the specified value. Okay, now if the load flow actually, if the system actually, this loads connected to the system demands the Q reactive power from the generator beyond either this lower limit or above this higher limit to maintain the specified voltage here, then what? The limits are fixed to this either lower limit or higher limit, and this voltage is now allowed to vary accordingly. Are you followed what I am saying? Actually, this is very important concept, right? What I have done here, I have shown the network, number of bus, n buses. They can be broadly divided into generator buses and load buses. And for conducting the load flow studies, we need to define one as a reference bus, which is known as slack bus, where this slack bus is generally taken one among the generator bus with the highest generator capacity. So that means generator buses can be again divided into one slack bus and the remaining as the normal generator buses. Now once I have divided these into two categories, one is slack bus. Now I am coming to the nature of parameters specified at these two types, generator buses and load buses, and also slack bus. Now I have taken first the generator buses. Now generator buses, instead of specifying P and Q at those buses, we will be specifying P and V, because they are also called as controlled buses, because generator is actually meant for controlling the bus voltage, right? So that is why Q is not specified. It is variable between this Q minimum and Q maximum, but V is fixed and P is fixed. Now this is about the controlled bus or generator bus. Generator buses are also called as controlled bus, right? See, you have to remember all these. Now coming to load bus, they are specified by only P and Q. At each load bus, P and Q are specified, and V is to be determined. The load bus V we have to determine. This is unknown. We have to find out there. And coming to the last one, slack bus. This is load bus. P and Q are specified, and we need to determine the voltage, magnitude and angle, unknown quantities, these two. And what about unknown quantities at generator buses, right? So we need to find out Q, what is it is actually pumping in, and also the delta. unknown values. And coming to the slack bus, only one bus. At this, normally we will be specifying the voltage magnitude and angle. Voltage magnitude and angle, and also normally this is 1 per unit at an angle 0. Normally this is specified to 1 at an angle 0. Right? And unknown to be found out from here is at the slack bus is P and Q. So these are the unknown quantities at each bus, and these are the known or specified quantities at these 3 buses. Okay, now there may be a question I may ask, why voltage is specified, why not P? Why not P and Q at slack bus? Can you think? Why not P and Q? Why only V and delta? So if you look into this diagram, if I specify at slack bus also P and Q, then at all buses, that is generator buses, load buses and slack buses, what is specified? P is specified, P is specified and P is specified. If I choose P and Q specified at slack bus, is it right? Are you following? If at slack bus instead of V and delta, if I specify P and Q, what is going to happen? If you notice that at all buses the active power is specified. This is generator buses, P and V is specified, that means P is specified. At load buses P and Q are specified, that means P is specified. And at slack bus P and Q if specified, then P is specified. That means at all buses, n number of buses in the system, P is already specified prior to solution of the load flow, which means that definitely this load flow is not going to converge at all. Why? Tell me. Because I don't know, before load flow solution, I don't know the network power losses. I don't have any knowledge about network power losses before, right? So for these amount of loads connected, now there may be one particular load active power loss in the network, then this power plus this load power definitely will not be equals to the sum of all generator powers, because these powers are already specified at generators, right? So it never converges, the load flow never converges. That is why what we do is at slack bus we try to specify only V and delta, but not the powers. Okay, so what does it mean? Suppose if this is a slack bus with generator connected to that, then this here instead of P and Q I will be specifying V and delta. But when we converge the load flow solution, we have to actually calculate what is actually the power it is actually feeding into the network. And after calculating this power, if you add up all the generator powers, then definitely it will be equals to all load powers plus network loss. Definitely it should be equals to these two. Okay, now so this is brief idea about the bus classification and the parameters, 4 parameters P, Q, V and delta at each bus. Among those, what parameters are specified at each bus and what are to be found at each bus is known. Okay, now once we know this, then we will move to the actual load flow method. So I have just shown that the complex power is P plus JQ is equals to at one particular bus. Let me write at ith bus. Okay, this is summation J is equals to 1 to n Yij Vj conjugate. What is this? This is the actual complex power injection into the network. Actually, this is the specified quantity. These two are specified quantities, and we are calculating the corresponding quantity using the bus voltages and already known system admittance matrix, nodal admittance matrix. Now, right, so I write down, I take the conjugate once again, SI conjugate, which is actually equals to Pi minus JQI, right, is equals to Vi conjugate, and summation J is equals to 1 to n Yij Vj. Okay, now I bring out I write down. Now this is actually the complex power balance equation, right? At this bus, what I am actually trying to see, I am matching the specified complex power with the calculated complex power. Now this is the calculated complex power and this is the specified complex power. Okay, so if I am satisfied that these two are equal at all buses, then that particular voltages Vi, I belongs to all 1 to n. Now this particular voltages is the solution. Now I am searching for this solution. Okay, now this particular voltages which actually gives me the power balance, complex power balance, specified quantity is equals to the calculated quantity at each bus from 1 to n. Okay, now how do I do? Now instead of writing the equations like this, I just modified, I rewrite this equation as Pi minus JQI by Vi conjugate. I am bringing this onto here, is equals to, and I am expanding actually this summation, that is 1, J is equals to 1 to n but not equals to I, as Yij Vj plus Yii Vi. I am excluding this term. From this summation. Earlier the summation is 1 to n, but I am now excluding this ith term from this summation. Okay. Now I rewrite once again. I bring this term onto this side. So Pi minus JQI by Vi conjugate minus summation J is equals to 1 to n, J is not equals to I, Yij Vj is equals to Yii Vi, all are phasors. Okay. Now I simply write down this V phasor is equals to 1 by Yii multiplied by this whole expression, that is Pi minus JQi by Vi conjugate minus summation j is equals to 1 to n, j is not equals to I, Yij Vj. What did I do? And this I is running from 1 to n, 1 to n, but actually no, okay, now this equation is the Gauss iterative equations. Gauss iterative equation. What? Vi is the bus voltages, right? So Vi is the bus voltages, and this I is varying from 1 to n. That means I have n equations like this, and each equation has to be iteratively solved. Now, before I go into iteration procedure, what I have to say is, now as I said, the system is having n buses in which one is slack, and there may be m number of generators, and remaining m plus 1 to n may be the load buses, right? Now as I said, at the generator buses we have specified P and V, right? At generator buses we have specified P and V. Now once I have specified V at generator buses, then why we need to calculate this voltage at generator buses? Why not this is only at load buses, but not we are actually calculating at load buses, but we are calculating these VIs at all generator buses plus load buses except slack. This is except slack. We calculate this equation at all buses except slack, because slack is specified, V is specified. Now why I am asking you people, why it is not calculated only at the load buses? Because V is specified at generator buses, even then we are calculating this V at all generator buses. Now at load buses, as I said, P and Q are specified. So that means at all load buses, this P and Q are specified. There is no other ambiguity. All P and Qs are specified at load buses, and all admittance values are known and voltages are known. So we can calculate straight away the voltage at PQ buses. But when it comes to generator bus, we don't have the prior knowledge of this Q, because Q is not specified at generator bus. Only P and V are specified. Q is not specified. So we don't have this term here to evaluate V at a generator bus. So for that, we actually need to first estimate this Qi at generator bus, then comes check with the limits Q minimum and Q maximum. Then there is some procedure actually. So based on this procedure, we have to fix one particular Qi here and take that value here to evaluate the voltage at this Vi at generator bus. Okay, I will come to that algorithm next class, hopefully. But what I want to say is, in system, if there is no generators, in system, if there are no generators, all load buses, only one slack bus with one generator bus, then these equations valid. That is, Vi is equals to this entire equation applied to I equals to 1 to n except slack, gives me the bus voltages of all the load buses. But when it comes to generator bus, then we have to check like this. Okay, now this is an iterative procedure. How do we approach actually? See, because this is Gauss iterative procedure, what we do is, the first step is we need to have the initial guess of voltages or solution, initial guess of solution, right? So our voltages V1 to Vn except slack has to be assumed they are to be 1 at an angle 0. Okay, this is called flat voltage beginning. Okay, so we start all bus voltages to be flat initially, right? Now what I have taken here, the system is having one slack bus and remaining all n minus this slack bus, all are load buses. There are no generator buses, only one generator bus, that is assumed to be a slack bus, right? That is actually, this generator bus is feeding all the loads and the network losses. Now under this condition, so I'm writing the iterative procedure, that is, start with the all initial voltages equals to flat voltages, right? Then solve this equation Vi at I belongs to 1 to n and I is not equals to slack by using this equation 1 by Yii Pi minus jQi divided by Vi conjugate minus summation j is equals to 1 to n, j is not equals to I, Yij Vj, that is what I have written here. Okay, the same equation. Okay, now repeat after calculating these Vi's at all buses except slack, then assume that this is at the kth iteration. You have calculated all bus voltages. Now you compare. Next step is compare the voltages Vi's at kth iteration with Vi voltages at k minus 1 iteration. All bus voltages at previous iteration, compare them with the all present iteration voltages. If their difference is less than or equals to some predefined epsilon, then stop. then stop. That is the solution. Those voltages are the solution voltages. If not, then proceed. Proceed with these as the initial values and then calculate. So VIK will become the initial values and evaluate Ki plus 1s, okay, using these base voltages. So this is the brief iterative procedure, and this is called as Gauss iterative procedure. Okay, but there is a small deviation. With respect to Gauss iterative and Gauss Seidel load flow. Gauss Seidel and Gauss iterative. What is the difference is, in Gauss Seidel, the latest calculated values of bus voltages are utilized. So what do you mean by that? I write down here once again. This is Vi kth iteration is equals to 1 by Yii Pi minus Jqi by Vi conjugate minus summation J is equals to 1 to I minus 1 Yij Vj minus summation J is equals to I plus 1 to N Yij Vj, where these voltages are the present iterative voltage found, and where these voltages are the previous iteration voltages. Are you followed? Now in this kth iteration, I need to find out V1 to Vn, but not at slack. Now in this is the kth iteration. I am finding out all the voltages. Now I am there at ith voltage Vi. Now already I have calculated V1 to Vi minus 1 voltages in this iteration, right? And remaining thing I am yet to calculate the I plus 1 to N voltages. Now I am trying to use these calculated values in the ith iteration. That is what I have mentioned here, right? So I have expanded this summation into two terms, that is J equals to 1 to I minus 1. Earlier it was summation J is equals to 1 to N but not equals to I. Now this is divided into summation J is equals to 1 to I minus 1 and summation J is equals to I plus 1 to N. Right? I is missing here. So the voltages which we have already calculated should be used from the current iteration voltages. This K superscript K indicates the calculated voltages of these buses in this iteration, and the superscript K minus 1 indicates these voltages should be taken from the previous iteration voltages. Now that is the difference between the Gauss Seidel and the Gauss method. This is the Gauss method and this is Gauss Seidel method, where the latest voltages have been utilized to evaluate the bus voltages. Okay, that's it. So remaining procedure is same. Remaining procedure, this iterative procedure is same. Calculate the voltages at each bus with initially taking the flat voltage values, then compare the calculated voltages with the previous iteration voltages. If the difference is less than or equals to some predefined epsilon, then stop. Otherwise, go back and calculate once again all the bus voltages. That's it. Okay. Now, because this is the Gauss method with no generator buses, I don't have any difficulty in calculating these voltages, because so this Gauss method is not having generator buses in this case, and all are load buses, and we know that all load buses are specified with P and Q. There is no ambiguity. P and Q are specified at load buses. So these two are known, right? And all admittances are known from the admittance matrix. Only thing is the voltages are changing from time to time. From iteration to iteration, the voltages are changing. So from initial first iteration, you start with the initial guess, then later on, after completing one iteration, the calculated voltages will become the initial voltages for the next iteration, right? So this is how this Gauss Seidel and Gauss iterative procedure goes on. Okay, have you followed? Any doubts, please?